We ain't talking about Klay Thompson. Y'all steady trying to get him a pass. I ain't never seen Klay not shoot it like this. And for him to say I'm out of my prime, like, come on, Klay. Like, come on.
He said that?
Yeah.
How many?
Yeah, he's got a beautiful.
So yeah,
speaking of BBL.
Yeah.
I'm from West Virginia, man. I've been taught a lot by some old folks, old white folks.
Klay Thompson just put up 6 points in a loss to the Spurs. 6 points. The same guy who once scored 37 and a quarter is now struggling to hit double digits on a regular basis. And you know what everyone's talking about? His relationship with Megan Thee Stallion? People are convinced that dating one of the biggest rappers in the world has completely destroyed his game. But is there actually any truth to this, or are NBA fans just looking for someone to blame? Because when you dig into what's really been going on with Klay, the story gets way more complicated than anyone wants to admit. Let's get the facts straight first. Klay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion were reportedly spotted together in October 2024, right around the time Klay signed with the Dallas Mavericks. They were seen leaving a club together in Los Angeles, and then suddenly paparazzi photos started popping up everywhere. Klay at her concerts, Megan courtside at Mavs games. The internet absolutely lost its mind. Within days, Twitter was flooded with people saying Klay was about to get the bad boy curse, referencing how Megan's previous relationships allegedly affected the guys she dated.
I have never dated somebody so kind. Like, this is my first relationship where I've ever been with somebody who's genuinely a nice person, and he makes me genuinely happy. Like, I just never dated somebody like him before, and I'm just grateful that he's here by my side and he feels the same way about me.
Now here's where it gets interesting. In November 2024, Klay started the season with Dallas averaging about 13 points per game on 38% shooting from three. Those aren't great numbers for a guy who's supposed to be one of the greatest shooters ever, but they're not catastrophic either. Then December hits, and his numbers drop even further. He's suddenly averaging under 10 points some weeks, shooting below 35% from deep, and the Mavericks are losing games they should be winning. Right around this time, Megan posts an Instagram story of them together at dinner, and the comments section turns into a war zone. Thousands of people blaming her for Klay's struggles. But let's pump the brakes for a second. Klay Thompson is 34 years old. He's coming off 2 catastrophic injuries, a torn ACL in 2019 and a torn Achilles in 2020. He missed over 900 days of basketball. That's not just a couple months. That's literally 2.5 years of not playing competitive basketball at the highest level.
How have you balanced this summer for you? And more importantly, how has your relationship made you better as a man on and off the floor, and how that's going to move forward for you as far as your career?
My relationship with
Megan Thee Stallion.
I'm not going to talk about that.
When you look at the history of NBA players who've suffered those kinds of injuries, especially shooters, the decline is pretty much inevitable. Dominique Wilkins came back from an Achilles tear and was never the same. DeMarcus Cousins never recovered his all-star form. This happens all the time. So, why is everyone so quick to blame Megan? Well, there's actually a pattern here that NBA fans have latched onto. Remember when Kendall Jenner was dating NBA players? People called it the Kardashian curse. Blake Griffin's numbers supposedly dropped when he was with her. Same thing happened with Ben Simmons. Though to be fair, Ben Simmons had other issues going on. Jordan Clarkson, Devin Booker. People tracked their stats and convinced themselves that dating a Kardashian or Jenner was somehow draining their basketball abilities. It became this whole mythology in NBA culture.
As an MVP voter, how do you feel about potentially being responsible for players making or losing millions of dollars? All NBA, MVP.
I hate it. There's no way something like that should mess with a cat's money. Klay Thompson has a legitimate case to hate media for the rest of his life.
The thing about Megan Thee Stallion specifically is that she's dated several high-profile athletes and entertainers, and people have created this narrative that she's somehow bad luck. Pardison Fontaine, who's a rapper and songwriter, was with her for a while, and people claimed his career stalled during their relationship. When that ended messily in 2024, the internet jokes started flying. Then the Klay rumors began, and immediately everyone jumped to the same conclusion. What's wild is that if you actually look at when Klay's performance started declining, it has nothing to do with when he started dating Megan. His three-point percentage started dropping in his final season with Golden State. In the 2023 to 2024 season, Before any Megan rumors existed, Klay was already shooting 38.7% from 3, which is his lowest percentage since his rookie year.
So
Most
yeah,
wars
so,
are.
it got something to, you know what I'm saying? Klay Thompson, I ain't saying that's what it is, but that might be what it is.
He was already losing his lift on his jump shot. He was already getting beaten off the dribble on defense. These problems existed before he ever stepped foot in Dallas and before anyone ever saw him with Megan. Let's talk about what actually changed for Klay this season. He left the only organization he'd ever played for. The Warriors were his home for 13 years. He won 4 championships there. He built his entire identity around being a Warrior. Then, in the summer of 2024, Golden State didn't offer him the contract he wanted. According to reports from Shams Charania, the Warriors offered him a 2-year deal worth significantly less than what Klay thought he deserved. He felt disrespected. He felt like they were pushing him out. So he signed with Dallas, a team with a completely different system, different teammates, different coaching philosophy. In Golden State, Klay spent over a decade playing with Steph Curry and Draymond Green.
But I will say that every summer doesn't change for me because I know what it takes to go the distance, and there's really no such thing as an off season. The summertime is just as strenuous as the season.
He knew exactly where Steph would be on every possession. He knew when to cut, when to relocate, when to set screens. The Warriors built an entire offensive system around motion and ball movement that was designed to get Klay open looks. In Dallas, he's playing with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, 2 ball-dominant guards who operate completely differently than Steph. Luka likes to hold the ball and create in isolation. The pace is slower. The spacing is different. Klay's having to adjust to an entirely new way of playing basketball at age 34 after catastrophic injuries. That's incredibly difficult. But sure, let's blame the woman he's dating instead of acknowledging the obvious basketball reasons for his decline. That makes total sense.
They cost him $30 million. I wasn't one of them because I had him third team All-NBA. 3 chips, universally recognized one of the greatest shooters ever in the history of the game. First 7 or 8 years, shoot better than 40% from three-point range, and you gonna cost this brother $30 million.
Here's something else that barely gets mentioned. Klay's role in Dallas is fundamentally different than what it was in Golden State. In Golden State, even as he got older, he was still the second or third option on offense. The system was designed to create quality looks for him. In Dallas, he's being asked to be a floor spacer and a catch-and-shoot guy, while Luka and Kyrie dominate the ball. According to tracking data from the NBA's website, Klay's average time of possession per touch has dropped dramatically. He's not handling the ball. He's not creating his own shot as much. He's standing in the corner waiting for kickouts, which is not how he played his entire career. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Do relationships affect athletic performance? Absolutely, they can. If you're staying out late, not getting sleep, dealing with drama, your body and mind aren't going to be in peak condition. But there's zero evidence that's what's happening with Klay. He's not showing up to practice late. He's not missing team meetings. His coaches haven't said anything about his professionalism. Megan Thee Stallion is one of the hardest working artists in music right now. She's constantly on tour, in the studio, managing her business ventures. The idea that she's somehow this distraction that's destroying Klay's career is ridiculous when you actually think about it. What's really frustrating about this whole narrative is how it completely ignores Klay's actual struggles and reduces everything to woman bad. Klay has openly talked about how difficult it's been mentally dealing with his injuries. In a 2023 interview with Marcus Thompson of The Athletic, Klay talked about the depression he experienced during his rehab. He talked about how hard it was to watch his teammates win a championship in 2022 while he was still recovering. He talked about questioning whether he'd ever be the same player again. Those are real issues that require real empathy and understanding, not jokes about his girlfriend. There's also this weird double standard where male athletes get blamed for their relationship choices, but only when they're dating successful, high-profile women. When athletes date models or Instagram influencers, nobody says anything. But when they date women who are equally or more successful than them, suddenly the relationship is a distraction. It's the same energy as when people blamed Aisha Curry for Steph's occasional bad games. even though Steph has been one of the most consistent players in NBA history. It's lazy analysis that avoids talking about the actual basketball. Let's look at some context around the Mavericks as a team, too. They've been inconsistent all season. They made the NBA Finals last year, and everyone expected them to build on that success. Instead, they've struggled with chemistry, they've dealt with injuries to key role players, and their defense has been significantly worse than last season. Klay's struggles are part of a larger team problem, not the cause of it. Kyrie Irving has had his own ups and downs. Luka's been dealing with various minor injuries. The team just hasn't clicked the way people expected. According to Tim McMahon from ESPN, who covers the Mavericks closely, the coaching staff has been trying to figure out how to best utilize Klay in their system. They've tried starting him. They've tried bringing him off the bench. They've experimented with different lineup combinations. Nothing has really worked consistently, and that's because integrating a veteran player with a specific skill set into an established system is really difficult, especially mid-career. It has nothing to do with who he's dating. You know what's really interesting? When you look at historical examples of players who changed teams late in their careers after major injuries, Klay's experience is pretty typical. Paul Pierce went to the Clippers at age 37 and averaged 7 points per game. Dwyane Wade went to Chicago and Cleveland and was a shell of himself. Carmelo Anthony bounced around the league struggling to find a role. These are Hall of Fame players who couldn't maintain their previous level of play because age and injuries caught up to them. Nobody blamed their personal lives. People understood it was basketball reasons. The media has definitely played a role in amplifying this narrative too. Every time Klay has a bad game, you see headlines about Megan being at the game or about their relationship. ESPN, Bleacher Report, even smaller sports blogs. They all know this stuff gets clicks. It's controversy. It's drama. It feeds into existing narratives about athletes and relationships. But it's also incredibly irresponsible because it shifts the conversation away from legitimate basketball analysis and turns Megan into a scapegoat for something she has nothing to do with. Megan herself hasn't really addressed the criticism directly, which is probably smart. In a December 2024 interview with GQ, she briefly mentioned that she doesn't pay attention to social media negativity anymore because it's usually people projecting their own insecurities. She didn't specifically mention the Klay situation, but you can read between the lines. She's dealt with public scrutiny her entire career. She's been blamed for everything from other people's career failures to her own personal traumas being questioned. She's used to this. What gets lost in all of this is that Klay Thompson is a grown man who makes his own decisions. He's been a professional athlete for over a decade. He's won championships. He's dealt with pressure at the highest level. If his relationship was negatively affecting his performance, he would do something about it. The idea that he's somehow powerless or being manipulated is insulting to him. It removes his agency and treats him like a child instead of a professional. Here's the reality that nobody wants to accept. Klay Thompson is in decline because he's 34 years old. He suffered 2 career-altering injuries. He's playing for a new team with a new system, and the game has changed around him. The NBA is faster now. Defenders are better. Opposing teams have years of film on him. His body doesn't move the same way it used to. These are facts. These are observable basketball realities. They're just not as fun to talk about as blaming his girlfriend. You want to know what's probably actually affecting Klay's performance more than anything? Pressure. The pressure of living up to his legacy. The pressure of proving he's still valuable after his injuries. The pressure of making his new contract worth it. The pressure of silencing everyone who says he's washed. That's real. That's the stuff that gets in your head as an athlete. When you're pressing, trying to force things, your shot mechanics get off, your decision-making suffers. You start playing tight instead of loose and confident like you used to. If you watch Klay's body language during games now compared to his Warriors days, you can see the difference. He looks tense. He's not smiling and joking around like he used to. When he misses shots, he's visibly frustrated with himself. That's not someone who's distracted by a relationship. That's someone who's dealing with internal pressure and frustration about his own performance. Those are 2 completely different things. There's also been speculation that the Warriors' drama has affected him more than people realize. According to Marcus Thompson, who's covered the Warriors for years, Klay took the contract situation really personally. He felt like Golden State chose Jordan Poole's development over keeping him happy. He felt like they were ready to move on from him before he was ready to move on from them. That kind of emotional weight doesn't just disappear because you sign with a new team. It follows you. It affects how you approach the game. But again, it's easier to point at Megan Thee Stallion and make jokes than it is to have a nuanced conversation about aging, injuries, team chemistry, and the psychological aspects of professional sports. One is complicated and requires thought. The other is simple and gets engagement on social media. What's been encouraging is that Klay's teammates have actually defended him. Luka said in a post-game interview in January that Klay's been a great veteran presence and that the team values everything he brings beyond just scoring. Kyrie mentioned that Klay's been helping the younger players understand what championship basketball looks like. Jason Kidd, the Mavericks head coach, has consistently said that Klay's shooting will come around and that they're not worried about him. These are the people who actually see Klay every day. They know what's really going on, and none of them are blaming his relationship. The wildest part about this whole situation is that Klay could have an amazing game tomorrow. He could drop 30 points on efficient shooting, and people would still find a way to make it about Megan. If they broke up and he started playing better, people would say, "See, we told you she was the problem." If they broke up and he kept struggling, people would say, "The damage is already done." There's no scenario where she wins in this narrative because the narrative was never about facts. It was about finding someone to blame. And this isn't the first time we've seen this in sports, and it definitely won't be the last. Athletes, especially male athletes, have always had their personal lives scrutinized when their performance declines. It's just amplified now because of social media. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has a platform to share that opinion. And unfortunately, a lot of those opinions are based on stereotypes and lazy thinking rather than actual analysis. So where does this leave us? Klay Thompson is probably going to continue struggling to find consistency this season. His body isn't what it used to be. He's adjusting to a new situation. That's okay. That's human. It doesn't make him less of a legend for what he accomplished in Golden State. And it definitely doesn't mean his girlfriend is ruining him. It means basketball is hard, injuries take a toll, and father time is undefeated. Those are just facts. What do you think? Are people being fair to both Klay and Megan in this situation, or is this just another example of lazy sports analysis? And be honest, have you ever blamed an athlete's relationship for their struggles? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you made it this far, you might as well hit that subscribe button. We're breaking down sports narratives like this every week, and I promise we actually do research instead of just blaming people's girlfriends for everything. I'll see you in the next one.